Hello and welcome to another video. I want to be very transparent and honest that I'm feeling especially anxious today. I live in Western North Carolina. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Erin. And right now there are active wildfires that are being fought by the local Forest Service, not too far from where we live. We're not at a point where we need to evacuate, but we're just keeping a very close eye on the fires. So that is very much front of mind for me, and I had this video planned out in advance and I want to still film it, and I think that actually filming and doing some creative work might help to ground me a little bit. I've just been struggling this morning and have felt that my anxiety is extremely heightened, and I've been very jumpy, and anytime that our dog Finley has barked, I've jolted, and so my nervous system is obviously very dysregulated right now. And I just wanted to say that at the beginning of this video, if I seem a little spacey or off or really just different in general, it's because I'm feeling quite anxious today, and that's okay. Sometimes anxiety is just part of the day, and I still want to talk about books because I love them. They offer a welcome escape sometimes, especially on days like today. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of the books that I'm currently reading, and I'm also going to be sharing some exciting news about a new book club, so make sure you watch through the video. And without further ado, let's dive into the books that I'm currently reading. One of the questions that I recently created a poll for on my Threads profile is, are you the type of reader who enjoys reading one book at a time or multiple books at a time? And the results were split 50-50, and I just found that really interesting. I kind of go through phases personally as a reader. When I was in college and studying English literature, I obviously had to read multiple books at the same time. Then after college, I started to shift more into the one book at a time style of reading. In the past couple of years, I've started to go back to reading multiple books at the same time. And I think for me, I'm at a point where I just like to have a variety of books available, so that if I'm in a particular mood, then I can gravitate towards one book, or if I'm not feeling like reading a nonfiction book, for example, then I can hop over to some fiction. I have a really bad habit of starting books and then either running out of time to borrow them from the library or the Libby app, or I get distracted with a new book, and my currently reading list ends up getting longer and longer and longer, when in reality, the books that I'm actively reading is much less than what my currently reading shelf displays. Right now I have 13 books on my currently reading list. I'm not actively reading all of those books. I suppose I could use my DNF list for, oh, I'm just temporarily not finishing this book and I'll come back to it later. I'm not gonna go through all 13 of those books because, as I said, I'm not actively reading all of them. So I'm just gonna go through some of the ones that I am actively switching between at the moment. The first one is one that I actually started last year, which is Villette by Charlotte Bronte. This is a reread for me. I read this in college. Out of Charlotte Bronte's novels, I think this is my favorite. It feels more mature as far as her writing style as an author, and I really like the main character, Lucy Snow. I am switching between reading the physical copy and listening to the audiobook. I find switching between them a really cool reading experience because I'm able to continue reading while I'm doing other things. So I started reading this last year and then got sidetracked with all of the life things that happened in 2024, then decided to resume it. So I am in part 2, still not terribly far into the book. I've still got a ways to go, but really enjoying this reread of Villette and switching between the physical book and the audiobook. I'm actually already feeling a little bit better now that I'm talking about books. I feel more energized and more present. So thanks for coming along with me as I work through my anxiety in this video. The next book that I have been reading is The Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Savensky. This one I mentioned in a recent video. I still haven't gotten very far in it. I have gotten up to chapter 6, and this book follows 3 sisters, the Quigley triplets. Quigley, yes, that's their last name. And they are witches, and they specialize in reading tea leaves. The tea room that they opened in the bottom level of their house is their own little business. Their parents mysteriously passed away towards the beginning of the story, and now the Council of Witches have approached them for a particular task that they have to do, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but this one is set in Chicago, I believe. Yes, this book is set in Chicago in the late 1800s, so it's like a historical fiction meets magical realism, and I'm really enjoying it. It's quite a sweet story so far, although I have a feeling that things are going to get a little dicey soon, just where I am in the story. One of the things that I really like about the story so far, which I think is really unique, is that the house is also a character in this story, and the house has magical properties as well, which I thought was a really nice touch. So if you're looking for something with some magical elements and witches and cozy descriptions of a tea room and fresh baked goods, then I highly suggest The Crescent Moon Tea Room. The next book that I've been reading is the one that I'm reading for my book club, and we've been reading The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. This is an Irish author, and because my birthday is in the month of March and on St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to choose a book by an Irish author because it just feels very fitting. This book follows 3 characters who at the beginning of the story are complete strangers, and their lives become intertwined through this lost bookshop. The way that this story is told, it's through each character's perspective. So you start a chapter from one character's perspective, then the next chapter is a different character, and so on and so forth. There are 2 female protagonists and 1 male protagonist. We have Opaline, and we are seeing her story unfold back in the 1920s. And we have Martha, who is set in modern day Ireland, and Henry, who is also set in modern day, and he and Martha's characters have crossed paths towards the beginning of the story. I don't want to give too many more details than that, because the way that this story is told, you are finding out little details as you go along, and I'm now at a point where the connections between these characters in reference to the Lost Bookshop is starting to be revealed more, but there's definitely some magical realism in this book. I really find the style of writing so interesting because we're only getting little tidbits of information as we go, and then each time a new chapter begins, you are then switched to a different character's perspective. I have so many questions at this point, and I'm so curious to find out where this story goes, but the chapters that I read last night were some of my favorite, and I did not want to put it down, but really needed to go to bed, and I'm excited to continue reading this today. And this is a really great segue to talk about my book club. I'm really excited to share that my former book club, which I was hosting on Patreon. The past couple of months, I have been experimenting with hosting it on the Fable app. Fable is a social app for people who like to read books or like to talk about their favorite TV shows. You can track what you're reading, you can leave reviews, you can set annual reading goals, all sorts of things like that. But it also has a stronger community element. I really enjoy using the Fable app. I've been using it since late 2023. So I'm really excited to share that beginning today, my book club is officially open to the public, so you can join for free. I will leave a link in the description box so that you can join the Lovely and Cozy Book Club, which is a little nod to my sign-off phrase. You can join the book club now, and starting in April, we will be reading Wayward by Amelia Hart. We will be reading this for April and May, so that should give you plenty of time to borrow a copy and read it and participate in the chapter discussions. I really hope that you'll consider joining the Lovely and Cozy Book Club and starting off by reading Wayward with us. And I just want to reiterate that the book club is completely free. The Fable app is completely free. And I would just love to open up the book club to all of you so that we can continue to talk about books and have really great discussions in the Lovely and Cozy Book Club. The next book that I'm going to talk about, I actually just started reading the other night, and it is a collection of poems. I'm so out of it. A collection of poems by Emily Dickinson, and I had picked this up at the library recently because I was in the mood for some poetry, and I've only gotten a little ways into it. But I really like Emily Dickinson and her poetry. I read her in high school, and I like how this book is broken up into different sections. So the first section is the poet's art and all the poems that fall under that sort of theme. The works of love, death and resurrection, and okay, just 3 sections. So yeah, book of poetry. I feel so exhausted. I think this is what happens when my anxiety gets up, and then I start to come down, and then I just feel really tired. So I don't have anything else to say about this other than I'm enjoying it. The last book that I'm currently reading is one that I've talked about in a couple of other videos. It's Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney. This is a nonfiction, and I'm in the chapter about Charlotte Lennox, and she's such an interesting person. I had not heard of her. I was familiar with Anne Radcliffe, which was the chapter before Charlotte Lennox, and I'm really enjoying learning about her. She was born, 1729. That's estimated, and then compared to Jane Austen, she was born in 1775, so Charlotte Lennox is quite a bit older than Jane Austen. I really am enjoying this book a lot. I love the way that Rebecca Romney structures the book and how she is giving the information about the female authors who influenced and inspired Jane Austen. I'm learning so much from this book, and I'm definitely discovering more authors that I want to check out because I really love Jane Austen, and I just find it such a shame, which is a point that Rebecca Romney makes in this book, that I know so much about Jane Austen and I've read so many of her books, yet some of her favorite authors, I've either never heard of them, or I've heard of them, but I've not read anything that they've written. And it's wild how it's decided which authors and which books end up going into the canon versus the ones that aren't. Really like this book, and I'm reading it slowly because I just really want to savor it. I really like Rebecca Romney's writing style and the way that she tells the story of how she came to embark on this project of finding the rare books and learning more about the women writers who helped shape Jane Austen. I hear a helicopter. My anxiety is going to be all over the place today. But it's okay. So thank you for coming along with me on this very candid, very, I think, up and down kind of video. I'll be very interested to start editing this video. I feel like I'm gonna be like, she's up, she's down, she's up, she's down. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. I'd also like to give a special thank you to my supporters over on Ko-fi. It's thanks to you that I'm able to make these types of videos and build the creative career of my dreams. So thank you so much for your support. I hope that wherever you are in the world that you're safe, that you have your loved ones nearby. And until next time, I hope you have a lovely and cozy book to curl up with. Take care, everyone. This is a great segue into my exciting news, and that is that I am... Okay. It's a social media app for story lovers of, wait. I found the, let's try that again. And read it and be able to participate in the private, gosh, I feel so out of it. Okay, try again. Gosh, my train of thought. It just went. Okay. Let's try it again. I'd also like to give a special thank you to my, oh wow, I can do this outro, even if I have to keep my eyes closed.